What if the faith you've built your entire life around, the one that promised you paradise, turned out to be a labyrinth of control, where every step you take is watched, every choice you make is judged, and leaving could cost you everyone you love? Imagine a world where a single doubt could erase your existence, where your family could turn their backs on you overnight, all in the name of devotion. This isn't a dystopian tale. It's the hidden reality for millions within the Jehovah's Witnesses, a religious group that's both revered and reviled, a community that offers purpose but demands everything in return. In this video, we'll peel back the layers of their world, from the origins of their apocalyptic beliefs to the devastating price of breaking free and the uncertain future they face in a changing world. You won't believe the truths we uncover, truths they don't want you to know. Before we dive in, if you're ready to explore this journey with us, hit that like button to show your support. It really helps us reach more people. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. In a sleepy Pennsylvania town in the 1870s, Charles Taze Russell sat alone in a room thick with the scent of ink and old paper, his eyes locked on a Bible he treated like a treasure map. The world outside buzzed with industrial clamor, but he heard only the ticking of a divine clock, convinced he'd deciphered God's plan for the end. That solitary fixation drew a small circle of believers to his side, their hushed voices in a parlor marking the birth of Jehovah's Witnesses, a seed that would one day root itself in 240 nations. Russell wasn't a man of loud sermons. He was a quiet revolutionary, his mind a furnace of certainty. He tore apart the Trinity as a hollow myth, cast hellfire into the realm of superstition, and declared the end so near it felt like a heartbeat away. His followers didn't just listen, they lived his words, their faith a wildfire that spread from that cramped room, growing into a movement that now claims over 8 million, each soul tethered to a vision born in the flicker of his lamp. Those early gatherings weren't casual, they were a pact, a vow to see the world through Russell's lens. His followers, a mix of farmers and shopkeepers, pored over his charts, their fingers tracing dates like 1914, their hearts pounding with the thrill of being chosen. They broke from a Christianity they saw as bloated with lies, forging a faith that felt raw and urgent, a call to stand apart in a world they believed was already crumbling. When Russell died in 1916, his dream didn't bury itself with him. It rose stronger under Joseph Rutherford, a man who turned a fragile flock into a fortress. In 1931, the name Jehovah's Witnesses rang out, a banner for a people who saw themselves as God's last messengers. From a handful of believers to a global tide, the movement swelled, its roots in Russell's obsession, now a sprawling tree, its branches heavy with lives shaped by a prophecy that refused to fade. That growth fed on a world in chaos, wars, machines, uncertainty. And Russell's certainty was a lifeline. A woman today holds her great-grandfather's faded notes from those first meetings. His pencil marks a bridge to a past that still grips her family. It wasn't just faith, it was identity, a promise that they alone held the key to survival, a legacy that turned a quiet man's dream into a force that echoes across time. What began as one soul's revelation became a kingdom of belief, its walls built high with scripture and sacrifice. Russell's vision wasn't a sermon, it was a war cry, a declaration that the end was nigh, and his echo still thunders, binding millions who see themselves as the final flame, in a world they're sure will soon burn out. Their story a testament to the power of one idea in a sea of doubt. Picture a life where every dawn feels borrowed, where the earth beneath you hums with the malice of Satan's reign. For Jehovah's Witnesses, this isn't a story, it's their reality, a doctrine that paints the world as a sinking ship, and them as the only ones with lifeboats. They believe Armageddon looms like a storm on the horizon, and only they, Jehovah's faithful, will walk through its wreckage, a truth that seeps into their every breath. That certainty isn't a whisper, it's a roar, a call that drowns out the noise of a normal life. A grandmother recalls cradling her infant daughter in the 1960s, her soft voice weaving tales of a world about to end, her lullabies heavy with the promise of paradise for the obedient. It's a faith that doesn't sit still. It moves, pushing them to knock on doors, to beg strangers to listen, to snatch souls from a fate they see as sealed. They live with eyes on the sky, ears tuned to the rumble of prophecy. Every earthquake, every war, a sign they've been waiting for. They're the elect, the ones who will inherit a new earth, and that belief welds them together, a family forged in the heat of expectation. A man stands in his cluttered kitchen, his coffee untouched, his gaze lost in a newspaper headline about unrest, his mind racing to match it to the warnings he's heard since childhood. Their past is littered with dates: 1914, 1925, 1975. Each a beacon that dimmed when the end didn't come. The leaders didn't flinch. They wove new stories, claiming Christ's invisible return or a misread sign, their words a lifeline for the faithful. A boy remembers his mother in 75, her hands folding away a dress for a celebration that never happened, her eyes still bright with trust as she spoke of the next promise, her faith a rock unmoved by time. Those broken prophecies didn't shatter them, they sharpened them. The organization spun failure into fortitude, teaching that endurance was their crown. A woman recalls her teenage years in the 1980s, her journal a gallery of paradise sketches. Each unfulfilled date a test she passed by staying loyal. Her hope a flame that burned through decades of delay, a testament to a faith that thrives on waiting. That shadow of Armageddon doesn't just hang, it reigns a tyrant over their days. Dreams of a career, a home, a quiet retirement dissolve in its glare. Why build when ruin is near? A girl let a scholarship slip through her fingers, her parents' smiles masking her silent ache. Her future traded for a present that promises forever. A life where time is a countdown they're taught to embrace, not fear. Enter a kingdom hall, and the silence is thick with order. Men in starched suits, women in flowing skirts. A uniformity that's more than cloth. These aren't preferences, they're decrees, etched by a governing hand that sees every stitch as a shield against sin. A young man fumbled with his tie in the mirror, his hands shaking, knowing a sloppy knot could brand him disloyal, a tiny flaw magnified into a fall from grace. The rules don't stop at skin, they claw deeper, strangling the spirit. Music must be holy, films must be tame, books must kneel to doctrine. A girl tucked her sketchbook under her mattress, its pages alive with forbidden stories, her pulse hammering each time her father's footsteps neared, her small rebellion a secret she guarded with her life. It's a world where joy is a prisoner, where a single wrong note could snap the thread that holds them together. Holidays are erased, their homes dark where others glow. No Christmas wreaths, no birthday cheers. A father stood at his window in December, his daughter's eyes tracing the neighbor's twinkling lights, her whispered, "Why?" a dagger he couldn't pull out. They're taught to see this void as virtue, a sacrifice that marks them as pure, but it's a cut that bleeds, a loss they bear in silence, while the world celebrates beyond their walls. Connection withers under the same blade. Friends outside are specters, dangers to be shunned. A woman remembers her schoolmates' grin, their afternoons of shared dreams, until the elders' decree tore them apart, leaving her with a hole she filled with prayers. It's a solitude they're told is sacred, a price for a faith that demands their whole world, a loneliness that echoes in every empty seat at their table. Education is a forbidden shore, its waters poisoned by worldly pride. A boy traced blueprints in his mind, his dreams of bridges and towers fading as his mother pressed a tract into his hand instead. He watched his peers climb, their lives unfolding, while his shrank, a future stolen by a faith that fears learning as much as it fears defiance, a path he never chose but couldn't leave. The chains bind thought itself. Doubt is a crime, wonder a betrayal. A teenager sat in the dark, her mind churning with questions she couldn't voice, her tears soaking her pillow as she imagined the elders' cold stares. It's a prison of rules, each one a lock on their soul, a life where freedom is a ghost they've never met, where obedience is the only hymn they're allowed to hum. Every knock on a stranger's door is a blood oath, a ritual carved into their bones. Witnesses don't pick this. It's their pulse, their hours logged in a book the elders weigh like gold. A woman stood on a cracked doorstep, her voice trembling as a man spat words that cut, her resolve a shield she forged through years of rejection. Each no, a scar she wore with quiet pride. It starts young, children with tracts and trembling hands, their innocence bartered for duty. A girl missed her first recital, her ballet shoes untouched, her evening spent pleading with blank faces on a street corner. She heard the applause through the auditorium walls, her heart aching for a stage she'd never know. Her youth a gift she laid at an altar she was too small to question. The toll isn't just time, it's dreams, crushed under faith's heel. A man boxed up his paints, his canvases blank, his once vivid world reduced to gray because color didn't serve Jehovah. He dreamed of galleries of eyes on his work, but now he knocks on doors. His art a memory he buries under sermons, a loss the elders praise as a win. Ambition kneels at the same shrine. A woman turned down a corner office, her briefcase empty, her husband's confusion a shadow she ignored as she chose scripture over success. She'd seen herself leading, her name in lights, but the organization called it vanity, a sin she shed until her old self was a stranger, her sacrifice a story she told herself to sleep. Small joys slip away, trips undone, laughter stifled. A father canceled a lake weekend, his son's fishing rods rusting, his paycheck swallowed by the congregation's needs. He explained it with scripture, but their downcast eyes pierced him. A guilt he buried under duty, a family tied by a faith that demanded their summers, their smiles, their everything. Sacrifice isn't a word, it's their skin, their breath, their blood. A mother watched her daughter skip a prom, her gown unworn, her pride battling sorrow as she saw her child trade satin for tracks. It's a loyalty that eats them whole, time, talent, tears. A debt they pay with every heartbeat, a life where love is measured not by what they gain, but by what they give up. In the serene hills of Warwick, New York, a modern compound houses a small group of men whose words ripple across the globe like a divine tide. They are the governing body, the supreme authority of Jehovah's Witnesses, a select circle of elders who proclaim themselves as God's exclusive messengers. Seated around a polished table, their voices, calm yet unyielding, carry a weight that binds millions, their decrees treated as sacred whispers straight from Jehovah's throne, a power that shapes lives they'll never touch. That authority isn't a faint echo, it's a constant presence, a guiding hand that reaches into every believer's existence. A seamstress in a remote village recalls the day a new edict arrived, her fingers trembling as she discarded a dress deemed too vibrant. Her reflection in the mirror, a stranger molded by men in a distant tower. They don't just oversee faith, they dictate the rhythm of life, from the books on a shelf to the friends at a table. Their will a tapestry woven into every thread of daily routine. These men aren't faces on a screen, they're shadows, their identities cloaked in reverence, their names spoken in hushed tones. Yet their influence is a tidal wave, felt in every sermon, every whispered warning at a kingdom hall. A boy recalls his first meeting as a child, the elders invoking the body's name like a holy incantation, his grandmother's bowed head a silent testament to their grip, a power that felt larger than the sky above his small town. Their rule isn't soft, it's ironclad, a force that smothers independent thought before it can spark. Members are warned against outside voices, taught that a single dissenting word is a venom brewed by Satan. A teenager hid a forbidden podcast on his phone, its questions a fire in his mind, his heart racing each time his father passed his door, his secret a rebellion he buried under layers of fear. The governing body's reach isn't limited to belief. It invades the personal, dictating who can love and how. A woman recalls her sister's romance with a non-believer, a love forbidden by their decree, her family's tears a river dammed by their verdict, her sister's heartbreak a silent scar they all carried. They don't just lead, they control. Their edicts a cage that traps every dream, every bond, leaving believers tethered to a life scripted by their unseen hands. Their claim to Jehovah's voice isn't humble, it's absolute, a shield that deflects any challenge. A man sat through a meeting where a friend's quiet doubt was labeled apostasy. The room's icy silence, a lesson etched into his bones. The governing body's power, a mountain no one dared scale. They forged a kingdom where they are both priest and king. Their rule a chain that locks the faithful into a life where obedience is the only prayer they're allowed to speak. In a hospital's stark glow, a mother stands frozen beside her son's bed, his small body tethered to machines, his life a fragile thread in her hands. Jehovah's Witnesses ban blood transfusions, a doctrine rooted in their interpretation of Leviticus, a belief that turns a life-saving needle into a sin against God. She refuses the doctor's plea, her signature on the form a vow to her faith, her son's fading breaths, a sacrifice she makes for a promise of eternity. This isn't one story, it's a haunting refrain, a legacy of losses carved by a rule that knows no mercy. A man recalls his brother's car crash in the early 2000s, his blood loss a death sentence he accepted, his family's prayers a hollow chant as the hospital room fell silent, his absence a void they navigate daily. It's a sacrifice they're taught is righteous, a defiance of a world that doesn't understand, but the price is paid in graves and unspoken grief. The ban's foundation lies in ancient verses, a law that demands blood remains sacred, untouched by human hands. A father faced it with his newborn, her jaundice a silent killer, his refusal a testament etched in her last cry, his arms empty as nurses turned away in frustration, their eyes heavy with a judgment he couldn't escape. It's a belief that transforms hospitals into battlegrounds where faith clashes with survival and the faithful pay with their lives. Over the years, the rule has shifted. Some blood fractions are now permitted, a change that sows confusion as much as it offers hope. A woman remembers her mother's death in the 70s, a transfusion denied when it could have saved her, and wonders why the line moved too late for her family, her anger a quiet storm she can't unleash. It's a doctrine that bends but never breaks, a contradiction that leaves believers torn between obedience and the ache of what might have been. The pain isn't abstract, it's visceral, a wound that scars generations. A nurse recalls a young girl's final hours, her parents' resolute faith a mask over their breaking hearts, her own hands trembling as she watched life slip away, her dreams haunted by a death she couldn't prevent. It's a policy that turns healing into heartbreak, a faith that claims victory and loss, a shadow that falls heavy on those who survive. The organization spins these deaths as triumphs, stories of loyalty shared in hushed tones at gatherings. A widower sat through a meeting where his wife's refusal was praised, his smile a mask as congregants nodded, his nights alone a truth they didn't see, his bed a cold reminder of a choice he can't unmake. It's a belief that glorifies the grave, a sacrifice that leaves behind mourners who bear the weight of a faith that took more than it gave. One day you're surrounded by warmth, family laughter, friends' smiles, a community that feels like a fortress. Then a single choice shatters it all. Disfellowshipping is the Jehovah's Witnesses' harshest sentence, a judgment that doesn't just exile but erases, turning a person into a ghost in their own life. A woman recalls the meeting where her doubts were condemned, her name struck from their world, her mother's final words, "You're dead to me," a dagger that still twists in her chest. It's not a gentle parting. It's a violent uprooting, a severance that leaves nothing behind. A man stood in his childhood kitchen, his father's voice declaring him gone, his sister's eyes averted as he packed, his footsteps out the door, a sound that echoes in his nightmares. It's a punishment that doesn't touch the body, but destroys the spirit. A shunning so complete it turns love into a memory, a void that swallows every trace of belonging. The reasons are endless: a cigarette, a holiday card, a whisper of disbelief, and the verdict is merciless. A girl faced it for a moment of rebellion, her laughter at a party a sin the elders couldn't forgive, her brother's cold goodbye a stone in her gut as she left with nothing but a suitcase. It's a system that knows no grace, a community that locks its gates, leaving the banished to face a world they've been taught to dread. The aftermath isn't temporary, it's a lifetime of echoes, a loneliness that gnaws at the edges of sanity. A woman spent her first New Year alone, her phone silent, her father's voice a ghost she couldn't summon, her tears a river that carried her to despair's brink, her survival a battle she fought in the dark. It's a scar that never heals, a loss of every connection, a solitude so deep it threatens to consume. Families fracture under its weight, parents forsake children, siblings become strangers. A man recalls his daughter's baptism, uninvited, his grandchildren's faces unknown, his heart splintering each time he passes their street, a stranger to his own blood. It's a practice that tears at the roots of humanity, a control so fierce it demands love itself as tribute, a wound that bleeds through generations. The organization calls it protection, a shield against corruption, but it's a weapon that carves through lives. A grandmother, disfellowshipped in her 80s, watched neighbors she'd cooked for turn away, her days ending in a nursing home, alone. Her son's absence a final blow from a faith she'd served for decades. It's a punishment that doesn't just isolate, it annihilates. A shadow that lingers in every empty room, a cost paid in broken souls. In the quiet of a kingdom hall, a girl whispers her nightmare to an elder, an abuse that haunts her sleep and is met with a cold demand. Name another who saw. The two-witness rule, a Jehovah's Witnesses cornerstone, requires a second voice to prove a sin, silencing her cry, her abuser free to smile from the platform, his presence a chain she can't break. Her pain is buried under a doctrine that guards the predator, not the prey. This isn't one child's story, it's a legion, a hidden plague that festers in the shadows. A boy in Canada shook as he spoke his truth, only to hear the same refrain, his torment dismissed, his abuser still leading prayers, his childhood a wound he carries into adulthood. It's a rule that hushes, a shield for the guilty that leaves victims to rot. A secret the organization keeps with Scripture's weight. The policy twists Deuteronomy into a lock on justice, a barrier no single voice can breach. A mother begged for her son, his assault a nightmare without a witness, her pleas met with elders' cold citations, her faith cracking as the man walked free, his smile a mockery she couldn't unsee. It's a system that buries truth, a haven for the wicked, a faith that trades safety for silence. The world has seen it. Australia's Royal Commission uncovered over 1,000 cases, none reported, a vault of pain locked in congregation records. A woman stood in a courtroom, her brother's abuse finally named, her abuser's face ashen as decades of quiet broke, her triumph a bitter balm for years lost to silence. It's a scandal that spans nations, a wound the organization cloaks in claims of divine will. The damage isn't just numbers, it's souls, trust shattered beyond repair. A man recalls his daughter's collapse, her rapist's sermons a mockery, his family hushed to shield Jehovah's name, her breakdown a quiet storm no one saw. It's a rule that turns victims into phantoms, a community into a refuge for evil, a betrayal that cuts deeper than flesh. They defend it as biblical, a bulwark against worldly courts, but it's a millstone that drowns the innocent. A survivor faced her old hall, her abuser's voice drifting out, her childhood a scar the two-witness rule can't heal, her faith a ruin she can't rebuild. It's a secret that poisons, a crime they hide, a truth that rises despite their chains, a wound that bleeds beneath the surface. In the stillness of a Kingdom Hall meeting, a young woman sits in the back row, her hands folded tightly, her mind a storm of forbidden thoughts. A single inconsistency, a teaching on blood that doesn't align with her research, plants a seed of doubt, a whisper that grows louder with each passing day. For Jehovah's Witnesses, questioning is a sin, but that tiny crack in her faith becomes a chasm, a quiet rebellion that marks the beginning of her unraveling, a journey from certainty to chaos. That seed isn't planted in a vacuum. It's nurtured by moments of clarity, often small but piercing. She recalls a late-night scroll through a forum, the words of a former member echoing her own unease, her heart racing as she realized she wasn't alone, her fear mingling with a flicker of hope. It's a spark that threatens to burn down the walls of her world, a world she's been taught is the only truth, a realization that freedom might lie beyond the doctrine she's clung to since birth. For others, the doubt comes from within, a slow erosion of belief worn down by years of unanswered questions. A man remembers the day he saw an elder's hypocrisy, preaching humility while driving a luxury car, his childhood trust crumbling like ash, his mind racing with whys he couldn't voice. It's a betrayal that shifts the ground beneath him, a moment that makes him question not just the elder, but the entire system, a first step on a path he never thought he'd take. That path isn't easy. It's a minefield, each step fraught with fear of discovery. A mother hid her journal, its pages filled with doubts about Armageddon's delay, her handwriting shaky as she wrote in the dark, her children asleep down the hall, her secret a weight she carried alone. It's a journey of inner conflict, a battle between the faith she's known and the truth she's starting to see, a fight that threatens to cost her everything. The organization fights back, branding doubt as Satan's lure, a mental disease to be cured. A teenager recalls the elder's warning after he asked about a failed prophecy, his curiosity met with a lecture on loyalty, his shame a heavy cloak he wore for years. It's a system that punishes thought, a faith that fears questions, a control that keeps believers tethered even as their minds begin to wander. But those seeds grow, fed by a world the organization can't fully block. A woman found a documentary online, its testimonies a mirror to her own struggles, her tears falling as she realized she could leave, her resolve hardening with each story of escape. It's a crack that widens, a truth that beckons, a moment where doubt becomes a doorway, a first step toward a life she never dared imagine. Leaving isn't a single act, it's a shattering, a rupture that tears through every thread of a Jehovah's Witness's life. A man recalls the night he wrote his letter of disassociation, his pen trembling as he signed away his family, his mother's voice on the phone, a final goodbye, her words, "You're no longer my son," a wound that still bleeds. It's a freedom that comes at a cost, a liberation paid for with the loss of everyone he's ever loved. That loss isn't abstract, it's a daily ache, a void that echoes in every silence. He stood outside his sister's house on her birthday, uninvited, her laughter through the window a sound he couldn't join, his heart breaking as he turned away, a stranger to the life he once knew. It's a grief that doesn't fade, a family erased by a faith that demands total allegiance, a price that leaves him hollow even as he breathes free air. The world outside isn't welcoming. It's a labyrinth, a place they've been taught to fear as Satan's domain. A woman recalls her first day alone, her apartment empty, her hands shaking as she tried to make coffee, her mind reeling with the terror of a life without rules, her identity a blank slate she didn't know how to fill. It's a transition that's as daunting as it is liberating, a leap into an unknown that feels both thrilling and terrifying. But freedom isn't just loss, it's rebirth, a slow awakening to a self they never knew. She joined a support group, her voice trembling as she shared her story, the nods of strangers a balm to her wounded soul, her first laugh in months a sign of healing. It's a journey of rediscovery, a chance to build a life unscripted by elders, a process that's painful but also profound, a new beginning carved from the ashes of the old. That rebirth comes with scars. Trust is hard, connection harder. A man recalls his first date after leaving, his palms sweaty as he stumbled through small talk, his years of isolation a wall he didn't know how to climb, his smile a mask over the fear of rejection. It's a learning curve steep with vulnerability, a process of unlearning the fear of the world, a path to a self he's only beginning to meet. Yet in that struggle, there's light, moments of joy they never thought possible. A woman celebrated her first Halloween, her costume a silly witch hat, her laughter with new friends a sound she'd forgotten, her heart lighter than it had been in years. It's a freedom that's hard-won, a life rebuilt brick by brick, a testament to the resilience of a spirit that refused to break, even when the cost was everything. Leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses isn't just walking away. It's unmaking a self built on their foundation, a process that feels like learning to breathe again. A man recalls his first months out, his mornings paralyzed by choice, his mind reeling at the idea of deciding for himself, coffee or tea, a movie, or a walk. His life once dictated, now a canvas he didn't know how to paint. It's a freedom that's dizzying, a moral vertigo that leaves him unmoored. That unmooring isn't just practical, it's existential, a void where purpose once stood. He sat in his empty apartment, his Bible untouched, his nights haunted by the question of who he was without the organization, his identity a puzzle with missing pieces. It's a crisis of meaning, a struggle to find a compass in a world they were taught had none, a journey to rebuild a self from the ground up. The guilt lingers, a shadow of the faith they left behind. A woman recalls her first birthday party, her smile faltering as she blew out candles, her mind whispering that she was sinning, her joy tainted by years of conditioning. It's a battle to unlearn the fear, to silence the voice that calls celebration a crime, a process of reclaiming joy one small victory at a time. That process isn't solitary. Support groups become lifelines, spaces where the broken find their voice. She joined an online community, her screen glowing with stories like hers, her tears falling as she typed her own. The replies a chorus of understanding that pulled her from the dark. It's a healing through connection, a shared journey of rebuilding, a reminder that she's not alone in her struggle. Rebuilding isn't just emotional, it's practical, a learning of skills they were never taught. A man recalls his first job interview, his palms sweaty as he stumbled through questions, his lack of education a gap he had to bridge, his determination a fire that burned through his fear. It's a climb steep with challenges, a process of navigating a world they were taught to shun, a growth that's as painful as it is empowering. Yet in that growth, there's a quiet triumph, a self forged anew. A woman stood in her garden, her hands in the soil, her first harvest a symbol of a life she'd built, her smile a testament to a strength she didn't know she had. It's a redefinition that takes years, a journey from chains to wings, a testament to the human spirit's ability to rise, even after it's been buried. The Jehovah's Witnesses face a world that's changing faster than their doctrine can keep up, a digital age that threatens their grip. The internet has become their greatest foe, a flood of information they can't dam, with forums and documentaries exposing their secrets. Abuse scandals, shunning's toll, failed prophecies. A young man recalls his first Google search, his screen alight with truths he'd never heard, his faith crumbling with each click, a tide they can't hold back. That tide isn't just digital, it's legal, a wave of scrutiny crashing against their walls. Lawsuits pile up, Belgium's ruling on shunning as discrimination, Australia's fines for unreported abuse, Russia's outright ban labeling them extremists. A lawyer recalls a case in the Netherlands, her client's tears as she recounted her family's rejection. The court's verdict, a small victory against a giant, a sign that the world is watching. The organization adapts, their survival instincts sharp. They've built apps, polished videos, a digital presence to rival any startup. A teenager scrolls through their website, its sleek design a lure for the young, its message of paradise a promise that still draws some in. It's a modernization that keeps them afloat, a chameleon-like shift that masks their core, a bid to stay relevant in a world that's moving on. But that shift can't hide the cracks. Younger generations are slipping away, their skepticism a blade against the organization's control. A woman recalls her nephew's quiet exit, his questions too loud for the elders, his departure a sign of a tide turning, a generation less willing to bow. It's a slow bleed, a shrinking of ranks, a future where the faithful might dwindle to a smaller, more insular core. Legal battles loom larger, their tax-exempt status under fire, their practices questioned as coercive. A former member stood in a U.S. courtroom, her testimony on shunning's harm a plea for change, her voice one of many pushing for laws to protect the vulnerable, a challenge they can't ignore. It's a pressure that mounts, a reckoning that threatens their foundation, a storm they'll have to weather. The question lingers, will they survive or will they fade? Some see a contraction, a retreat into a tighter circle of true believers. Others predict a slow decline as the world opens up. A man watches his old hall, its doors still open, but its pews half empty, his heart torn between pity and hope, a future unwritten for a faith that shaped his past. It's a story still unfolding, a battle between control and freedom, a legacy that hangs in the balance. We've traveled through the heart of the Jehovah's Witnesses world, a journey that began with a man's prophetic dream, grew into a tightly controlled empire, and left countless lives transformed, both by its promises and its costs. From the rigid rules that shape every moment to the heartbreaking practice of disfellowshipping, from the hidden scandals that protect the guilty to the brave souls who dare to leave and rebuild, this is a story of faith, control, and the human spirit's unyielding quest for freedom. It raises a profound question. Where does the line fall between devotion and domination, between community and coercion? What do you think? Can a faith that demands so much truly offer salvation, or does it trap its followers in a cycle of fear? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If this video opened your eyes or touched your heart, please give it a like. It means the world to us. Share it with someone who needs to hear this story. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated on our latest videos. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We're so grateful for your support. May you find peace, truth, and freedom in all you seek. See you in the next video.